Once the primary growing season is finished up in the vegetable garden, it's a good idea to do a little tidying up. Just makes the garden look better, and you can cut down on disease for the next year. And what I like to think about is I get a jump on the next year, which is really important to me. Now, these are some Tabasco peppers. They were so gorgeous just a month and a half or so ago. You just wouldn't believe the color on them. But now they've finished up and it's time for me to get them pulled out. So I'm just taking and pulling the entire plants out and shaking the soil off of them. Other things in the garden you want to cut back or pull out would be any plants that have died completely from that first hard freeze. Now, of this debris that you're pulling out of your beds, much of it is compostable. As long as it's not something that's going to come back as a weed in the form of a seed or some sort of underground stolon or root, I say compost it. That's what I'm doing here. I just have a big pile and I rake the leaves out of the vegetable garden. I throw them on here, and over time I can create some really great soil for my garden. The next thing I do in tidying up the winter vegetable garden is to make sure my soil is in order. Once I've removed the spent plants and their roots, I like to go ahead and add any organic amendments to my soil and till. The tilling not only helps incorporate the amendments, but it also allows oxygen to reach deeper into the layers of the soil after a long season of production. And instead of leaving the soil exposed to vulnerable and harsh winter conditions, I like to add a layer of mulch to help prevent any weed growth before planting in spring. Another option is to plant a cover crop, like buckwheat or a brassica such as mustard greens. Cover crops do a great service during the winter and early spring months, including suppressing weeds, reducing soil erosion, and keeping soil microbes alive and active, giving your garden a boost at planting time. Now, just a few months ago, this was full of tomatoes. Produced, I can't even tell you how many pounds of tomatoes, big ones and lots of those little guys. Tasty, nature's candy. One thing you need to be wary of: when it's time to dispose of your tomatoes in the fall, make sure you pick up any of the fallen fruit before it rots. It may be tempting to simply till this in as organic matter back into your soil or add it to your compost pile, but beware. You see those very fungi, bacteria and insects and larvae that affected your tomatoes during the growing season, they will overwinter in the garden. Frankly, this is a good tip to keep in mind during the growing season. You see, it helps ward off problems and keeps your plants healthy and happy. Another important tomato disease management tip that can be done in the fall is clean your tomato cages. Left untreated, the cages and even the stakes can carry harmful bacterial pathogens or fungi that can survive between crops. Simply remove any leaf debris and hose them down. You may want to be extra cautious and wipe them down with some disinfectant wipes or use a dilute solution of Clorox. So when it comes to preparing my vegetable garden, it's either pay me now or pay me later. I'd rather get it all done now, and I'll be ready for spring.